Trollord Games. Join the fray.
Here we are for Ask Me Anything on whatever day it is. I don't even know anymore. I can't keep up. It's April 27th. There's something about April 27th. How's it going, Lord Dalius? I just came in from unloading 2 shipments of books. So the whole crew is scattered to the 4 winds, even Todd. And Todd's the old reliable. But everybody's scattered out. We were scheduled to have the Monsters and Treasures of Aired 5th edition show up today or tomorrow, I was hoping. Well, not only did it show up, but Starship Warden showed up as well. So we had clean space in the warehouse for 1, but not 2. So we got 7 pallets of books, and it's like 10,000 pounds of books piled. The poor truck driver, they just piled them out on the tarmac, and there was no one but me and Wilson to move them. So we started moving at 1:30, and we finished at about 3:40. So I booked it back here to jump on. So I'm looking a little red in the face. It's because we just moved a mountain of books and got them all tucked away. We will begin shipping the Monsters and Treasures of Aired for 5th edition tomorrow. I'm relatively certain it'll just trickle out tomorrow, but by Thursday they'll be rolling out. Yeah, definitely. When it rains, it pours. You know, had they told me, and I'm not complaining. Walsworth is a fantastic print, partner. We've been using them for years, but they told me one would arrive this week and then the other one would arrive next week. So I planned accordingly. I went down, Todd and I cleared space, rearranged, moved to get this, blah, blah, blah. Tim put us a deep discount sale on to get rid of some stuff that's almost gone that needs to just, move on its merry way. We did that for 1 book and not 2. And Todd's taking care of his mother up in Jonesboro, and Tim, of course, is in Hardy, and Davis was coming down today, but pushed it back till Friday. So it was me and Wilson. Moving mountains, 1 pallet. I moved a starship today. Wilson and I moved a starship today. And what sucks is I was literally, let's see where I am. So there was a lot of table corrections for the Castle Keeper's Guide, as for those of you following us on Discord know. And I've been fixing those, and I am presently on page 393 of... No. Is that right? No. The book doesn't have that many pages in it. 323. Jesus. 323 of 357 when they called. And I had to stop. So I'm literally like 20 pages... I'm 20 pages from being finished with the Castle Keeper's Guide. Yeah. It was an interesting Tuesday. It's just a normal day in the Trollverse. It's a little warm. Not too bad. I'm glad these books have arrived. The CKG is going to get here in probably early June, and it's going to be hotter than spit, and it's just going to be hot. It's just going to be hot. Yeah, the real white collar. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I had to change Gray Pay. We had Starship Warden and Monsters and Treasures of Air showed up today, so it was, I don't know how many books it was. It's 9,800 pounds of books. I think that's what is that what this is? I've been walking around this in my hand kind of in a daze. 9,916 pounds of books offloaded and then moved by hand. It's a lot of boxes. And the funny thing is, I've been used for years now. So when we first started using Walsworth, years and years ago, they used big boxes, 18 by 12, right? And that was a great box, blah, 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 blah. About 5 years ago, they switched to these smaller boxes. They're, 9 by 12 or some shit like that. And it's taken us, Todd and I, Mark, when he's in, we move stuff around in the warehouse all the time, making room for stuff. And it's taken us, years to adjust our thinking to the small boxes. So when Todd and I cleared space for the MT of A, we measured on the small boxes, because after they'd been coming in the small boxes for years, well, they were in the large boxes. And the Warden was in the large boxes too. So Memorial Tomb, I should have known it because it was in the large boxes as well. Yeah. It's always something. It keeps you moving. Casual Friday. Yeah, it's Casual Tuesday. How's it going, Kadora? How's it going, everybody? But we did make it for Ask Me Anything. Did your cell clear up some space? I haven't even dove into that yet. I know it's begun shipping out. Yes, it should have. It made it. There's 4 titles that are just kind of lingering, and it's time for them to get out of the way. They take up just enough space to annoy me when we're moving stuff down in there, because there's only a dozen boxes or so left of each of them. One, there's like 2 boxes. I mean, there's not many. So hopefully that gets them out of there. Yeah, April's almost over, Lord Dailies. Almost done. April is almost done. A regular t-shirt, yeah. When in the heat, those button-ups I wear, the buttons get caught on boxes, and they're kind of a heavier cloth. It'll set you on fire. And there you go. I'm not sure Ultraman is, there you go. Just like Bilbo in the cave. You should see that storage unit. It's absolutely insane. But it's all good. The Warden is in. I'm very happy about that. The Monsters and Treasures of Air is in. I'm extremely happy about that. Like I said, we'll start shipping the one tomorrow and probably the next one next week. We've still got, on the Warden, the boxes have to come in. There were some issues with the boxes that had to get fixed. And I got to approve those blue lines now that I think about it. But yeah, all kinds of fun. But we're here for Ask Me Anything. I'm Stephan Chenault of Troller Games, CEO. If you have any questions about anything that we're doing, or industry stuff, or Scuttlebutt, or whatever, and give me a shout. I'll try to answer it. We usually pick up stuff in the stream here and just jibber jabber about it. So fire away. And if you haven't already, and if you're new to the stream, please give us a follow. We're always looking to expand our footprint on Twitch. Which is a great platform. I've also discovered recently TikTok. We've moved to TikTok, and the Troll Lords are on TikTok as well. That Linktree has all the goobly goop wherever. We're all over the place. Trolls everywhere, except under the bridge. Did you watch the new Mortal Kombat yet, Steve? I have not, though Jason Vay told me that it's very good. Is it good? I haven't seen it. What am I watching right now? I was watching something. I don't know what I was watching. I was watching it last. Oh, X-Files. I'm still watching the X-Files. I'm on season 7, episode whatever, 18 or something, somewhere around in there. But there was something else I watched recently. I'm having trouble finding TV. Let me tell you, it's I keep poking at stuff, and everything is I don't know. It's irritating me more than it should. I'll start watching a show, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with this right now. Breaking Bad, that's what I tried. I rewatched the first season of Breaking Bad, and I was into the second season, and I stopped because it was just irritating. All the yelling was just irritating me. Just calm down. You're a meth dealer. Calm down. You just blow your house over or something, whatever. That's what they do here in Arkansas. Who is Sarah Clem, and why do you cite her in Monsters and Treasures for the shambling round? Okay, so Chris Harris is one of the guys who I've gamed with for years and years and years. Sarah Clem is his wife. She games with us frequently whenever she can. Now they've got little ones now, so she doesn't join us at the table as often as she would like or as we'd like. But Sarah is a water ecologist, I believe, is her technical job title. I think she works for the feds, and she's worked for the state. She moves around checking the bodies of water in Arkansas. I think it's rivers. I don't know if it's ponds and whatnot. Checking for wildlife numbers, pollution, all kinds of stuff. All that stuff that you kind of need to track in a heavily agricultural state, which Arkansas is very heavily agricultural. Thanks, Effie. It's my unload the truck work shirt. So Sarah, I was running a game years and years ago, and they were on a river in a couple of canoes. There were 5 of them. I think it was Mac and Chris and Todd and Sarah and Mac's wife Laura and Mark Sandy. So it was a big crew. I believe there was 2 canoes. And I can't really remember now the purpose of the game or the adventure, or even it was quite a while ago. But they were in these canoes, and they go over to the bank. There was a dead hobgoblin or something. I don't know. I can't remember. There's something that drew their attention to the bank. They go to the bank, And I start describing the water gets really shallow. There's a lot of muck here. You blah, 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 blah. And I described all of this muck. Now, it wasn't a river. It was like I don't know. It was some kind of standing water. I don't know, whatever it was. But Sarah proceeded to correct me that muck is actually a technical term, and I can't remember now the technical term of muck. But for a water ecologist, muck isn't just a word you toss out there. Muck is actually a word that describes a very specific type of sediment buildup on slow-moving rivers, if I remember correctly. So when I was writing the Shambling Mound, the descriptive text for the Shambling Mound, and we really need a good picture of the Shambling Mound. This isn't even our book. That's 𝚃𝚘𝚕𝚔 guy. Here's Godzilla again. I quoted her. So per rules as written, I'd need to call her up to make a call on whether or not the Shambling Mound can use its... Yeah, that's right. I should put her phone number out there. Is that what I put? I can't even remember what I put in there. It's been so many years. It was she completely destroyed my descriptive text when we were, you're in the mood and you're describing all of this stuff. She goes, Steve, you would find no muck on this part of the river. I was like, what? Of course there's muck. It's just mud. What are you talking about? I said, muck is not mud. Muck is blah, blah, blah. It was really cool. Sarah's got some major highlights at our table. Not the least of which is she's the one who's actually using the sword 𝚃𝚘𝚕𝚔 and rolled with a natural 20 that banished 𝚃𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚔 from the world of Erd. That was yeah, here it is. So Shambling Mounds are able to regenerate 2 hit points per round while they're in swamps, marshes, or any type of muck, be it river muck or muck as defined by aquatic ecologist Sarah Clem. There you go. Yeah, it was hilarious. She also did this really hilarious thing once. Chris, her husband, was describing. They were in a village. They're fixing to go to fight all of these bandits or orcs or something. I don't know what it was. But they didn't have enough people. So Chris wanted to get some of the villagers to join him, and he didn't. And Chris loves to role play. He really gets into the role play. So he did this great heroic speech, St. Crispin's Day speech, whatever, to fire up these villagers. And I rolled, and his charisma check was through the roof. And the villagers, 20 of them joined him, and they got pitchforks, whatever they could find. And then as they gathered behind Sarah's character, and this is the same River Muck character, Sarah's character, she's role-playing too, and she says, well, I tell them they're all going to die. If they go down there and fight these orcs, they're all going to die. And immediately shattered everybody's morale. Chris was so angry. It was really funny. Yeah, so she's got a few very, very memorable moments at the table. Yeah, it is hard to beat. When Charlie Sifford, now you don't ever hear that name anymore. He used to game with us years ago. He was Daladon in the big game, for those of you familiar with the world of Erd. He's a chemist, so when I would describe chemical reactions to things, he's like, Steve, that's not how that works. I don't care. Damn experts. You get it all the time, though. Weapons experts, whoever they are. I'm always going on about Dr. Pepper, which is about the only thing I'm an expert on. So there you go. How's it going, Seal Gramper? Unless you're just down underneath your bed watching the stream, then disregard. There you go. I don't know. It was funny. Oh, I'm tired. Yeah, fire away, King Kothar. I'm sitting here staring at this open Castle Keeper's Guide. It's taunting me with its last 20 pages. One of the guys in my group is a chemist, so I feel that pain. Yeah, it's really funny. It's really funny when people have this expertise that they bring to the table. And I don't know, man, I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, I can do a bit of plumbing, and I'm not afraid to do electrical work. But and neither of those, a plumber or an electrician, is a scientist. So I'm not sure what relation that has to anything. But I am not gifted when it comes to whatever, any of the sciences. I've read quite a bit, but only half of it do I understand. I read a lot of economic news. I follow a lot of the economic blogs, but I literally only understand about half of what I'm reading, and I have to read it like 48 times to understand. I don't even know what the words they're using. What is the logic behind how special abilities for monster entry are organized? It's not alphabetical, and it isn't consistent in terms of offense. then defense. It also seems that things like a dark vision appear wherever. Tell me the secret. There is no secret. So a lot of there's a little bit of orderly chaos to Castles and Crusades, and we do this for a reason. And I know this is going to sound like a cop-out, but it's not. We never set a standard to do it one way or the other, so that as we're making new monsters, as we're making new abilities and skills and all that stuff, we don't feel like, and the editors don't feel like, no one has to feel like they have to constrain themselves to organizing things this way. Because Davis and I write a lot, very similarly, and when I'm writing, it's a lot of, so I'll write this ability, and I think, oh, it'd be cool if this monster actually could do this in tandem with this ability, and then I just go on into it. And if you have to stop and kind of reorganize your literary flow of things, then you run the risk of losing some of that imaginative content. And it's been a little, CNC's grown quite a bit in the last few years, and I'm getting a little bit of this kind of, not pushback. There is no pushback. Everyone is super, super nice about it. But about these design things that don't seem to make a lot of sense to people. And for instance, like the experience points. Now, we have fixed this to some degree, and I only very reluctantly allowed it to be fixed. And to some degree is a critical word there. You can't really reconstruct in the Monsters and Treasure book off of the charts that we gave on how to build your own monster. You can't reconstruct the experience that is awarded for those monsters, not by looking at it. I did the experience on those monsters, all of them, and I didn't create a super chart and label everything. I went by very loosely by what's in the book, by the one chart that I did, special abilities 1, 2, and 3, whatever it is, but also how I played the monster. So if I thought that the monster is a little bit tougher, or should be played a little bit tougher, or I played a little bit weaker, or whatever, then I would raise or give it a little bit more experience points, or give it an extra special ability for intelligence that's not necessarily written in the descriptive text, or it may be, but it's just in the kind of the first 4 paragraphs, which are more literary and not technical. And these things were done on purpose. I know it sounds like a cop-out, and it sounds like people so we were just too lazy, but it wasn't. We rolled through the absolute grinding tempest that was 3rd edition, and everything was so insanely technical with that game. It's a good game. I'm not knocking the game, but we got gigged on misplaced colons. We got gigged on all kinds of stuff because it wasn't done specifically how Wizards of the Coast was doing theirs. And I could tell, definitely for me, it was restricting my creative whatever. And I know it was for Davis, because Davis has zero truck with any of it. Davis writes almost stream of consciousness. And if you read his stuff, you're fixing to get the NPC Almanac. It is just fantastic material. And I don't want any of that constrained with this need to do this, that, or the other. Just write it, create the monster, roll that sucker in. So sometimes you've got just chaos in there. Sometimes they're organized. Sometimes the abilities are linked that are next to each other, that are linked and not alphabetical. So that's basically the big reason. I don't. Yeah, I can't go that because you've been reading it. And that's part of what Troll Lord Games brings to the RPG community. That very few other games bring is this kind of literary creativity. And I don't mean that we're some kind of literary geniuses or anything, but what we're trying to do is create gaming content that you can play with, but story content that you can build upon and expand and take and run with. Or minimally, like particularly the monsters, there's enough story content that has nothing to do with what we're doing, but you can take and go with it too. Because at the end of the day, for an RPG to succeed, it's got to have longevity. And the biggest problem with RPGs is that there's no longevity to the games. You've played it. This 3rd edition, we saw this happening. We literally saw this in real time happening. 3rd edition sales began to dwindle, and the market began to collapse because there was no creative element to it. I mean, there was creative element to it, but it was all kinds of mechanics and rules. And this, and 4th edition, of course, took that concept, gave it a good dose of crack cocaine, and ran with it. 5th edition has mostly separated itself from that, leaving the rules behind and going on this more kind of creative, rules light, go with it. And now you've got a great more, as you as a player and a game master have far more creative license to create and guild and to build into game with this kind of baseline. And that's what Castles and Crusades is. It's the perfect baseline. And the only hard and fast rule that I've put out for the writers is when you're doing, and mechanic-wise, when you're doing stat blocks, everything has to be done in a complete sentence. I don't want these weird, whatever, where you've got 47 colons and semicolons, and this word is italicized, and this word is not, and this, blah, none of that. Everything's italicized. It's in a stat block. It's complete sentences. It's italicized. That's kind of really the only hard and fast rule that we've got. Let's see. Electricity is just the flow of electrical charge particles through a differential circuit. You're a wizard. Yeah, yeah, that's what I am. I know enough to get. I can do most electrical work. Not all, obviously, but I can do quite a bit of it. But I frequently shock myself because I don't ever turn off the power. I hate turning off the power. It's exhausting. So I'm always electrocuting myself. But there you go. That explains why there's 25 different monsters that can constrict, and there's 25 different rules for constriction. See, and that's the perfect example. And constriction shouldn't be the same from a boa constrictor and whatever, some mythical monster that can throw a tentacle around. The constrictions should be completely, an octopus, let's say. With an octopus, it should probably have some kind of burning sensation that comes with the little suction cups. So everything should, the writer should have creative license to do whatever they want. I watched a possum climb upside down from a tree this morning using a tail. Well, now obviously a possum's not going to constrict you, but that tail's used differently than a snake is using its body. So that's the perfect example. They should be different. Everything should be different. Now that doesn't mean you can't reuse the same. If you have something that you want to constrict, like a boa constrictor, then obviously you go with that constriction. But there should just be very, very little in the animal kingdom. It all does things differently to some degree. There's a baseline, but to some degree, they kill things a little differently. I need to project that attitude to my players and see if they catch on to the concept. It's actually a very hard. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned over the years with Castles and Crusades, and I was guilty of this as well, is shifting the mindset into it. As it really is it's a different kind of, it's the same game, but very different. And because there's an organized chaos here, it really is your game. When we say that, you buy the game, it's yours. You develop it. The baseline's all there, and you're gonna open it up, and you're gonna see, well, this isn't fully explained. Well, fix it. Go in there, fully explain it, make it work the way you want it to work. And we did that very intentionally. Mac Golden wrote the spells. He took spells from the AD&D books or 3rd edition or wherever he got them. I don't know where he got them. And he rewrote the spells with that in mind, knowing that CKs need some kind of latitude to interpret this thing, and players do also need the same kind of latitude to interpret how the spell works, so that you can adjust that playable content, that mechanical content, to the way you game. The problem is when everything is written down for you, at least half of your players are not going to be happy with you adjusting things. But if it's open to interpretation, then it creates that whole kind of different approach to role-playing. And that is definitely the way we role-play, and that is definitely the way we wanted to get it across in Castles and Crusades. But you're right, it is not easy to get that across, especially you new players, especially players who are coming from older versions of RPGs. And I'll bet you, I haven't played 5th edition much. I haven't played it at all. I guess that qualifies as not much. But I will bet you 5th edition players would be far easier to amenable to diving into CNC's kind of design philosophy, more so than 3rd edition or 2nd edition players. That's interesting. Having a walrus on the equipment list is great. Now I have to come up with yeah, not many calls for the walrus to be jumping around. 5e, the original CNC retro clone. Yeah, exactly. There you go. I do remember. I wish I'd made a screenshot of it. I remember when they were playtesting 5th edition, and I'm not knocking 5e or the designers. I mean, hey man, it's all great. But I remember when they were playtesting 5th edition. On their boards, they were asking, they had, I think they had groups that played it or something before it was commercially available, and they had these discussion boards where they would discuss it. And I remember I remember someone said, this game has already been published. It's called Castles and Crusades. You just need to go to Trollhorn Games' website. It was really funny. But I didn't take a screenshot of it. Like an idiot. The math is in there in 5e. They've concealed it well. You know, I've picked up on that watching some of the streams. I think there's more to it than I realize. And I think math has its place and the mechanics have their places in RPGs for certainty. And if that's the route you want to go, then definitely you should do it. And CNC allows you to do that. You can get very technical with things. But you really want, from a publisher's point of view, we really wanted to create the game so that people could go, you know, whatever direction they want to go with it, and be as creative and non-creative as they want, and that's role-played or not role-played. Whatever you want to do, it's your game. I played in a 5e game the other day, and they give you like 5 of your hit dice that you can roll to heal yourself. It's ridiculous. There is no challenge to staying alive. Well, I thought they had done away with that. Well, whatever your level is, I think. So we were level 6 and could roll our hit dice to heal like 6 times per... What? I thought they had gotten rid of that. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, let me tell you, it's so I'm running these young bloods, and they're learning the hard way. When they take damage, it doesn't heal that fast, especially when they go negative. We played Sunday, and one of them got just clobbered. They were fighting an ogre magi. 2 of them were not even in the fight. They were getting hit. They're already wounded, and one he said, well, they couldn't outrun it because it can fly and move faster, so they pivoted, attacked. He missed. Ogre Magi hit him with a natural 20 and knocked him to -6. And he was, and I could, all of them, everyone at the table had the exact same reaction. We gotta rest for a week now. Because once you go negative, you're out for 7 days. And on the 8th day, you can get healed. So they knew that now they're already out of rations. So now, I don't even know if they got a water source. They found a stream. So they're out of food and they got to rest for 7 days. And I think it's finally completely sunk in. Taking damage it can have very negative content, because now I've got to roll Wandering Monsters for 8 days, which just compounds the whole insanity of it. Well, Grape, technically in 5e, hit dice are a source that you can use when you rest. Once they're gone, though, they're gone until you take a long rest. You can choose how many dice you expend. You want to blow them all now, okay, but you might need them later. Want to suffer now and save them, that's too fun. Blah, 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 made it much easier, less threatening. But I'm guessing they did that to reduce the need for someone having to play a cleric. That may be Grape Ape. That's why they did that, because Troller Games, CNC struggled with that for a while. Blah 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 blah. CNC is the house. It's up to you to decorate it. That's a perfect way of putting it, Epi. That's a great way of putting it. That's it. Here's your game. Play it the way you want. I've actually got this. He's a huge fan of Castles and Crusades. He hasn't in a while, but he was sending me corrections on the rune lore spells, giving me proper distances and volumes, scientific stuff. And I'm not putting any of that in there. I don't want any of that. I don't want it to conform to the laws of physics and science. This is magic. I want it to bend that. I want it to stretch the believability of that. If you, as the CK, don't want it to go beyond the laws of physics, all right, put an end to it. That's the way. So when do we get to meet the great David Chenault on Twitch? So we've got his new computer's all set up. He's got a new camera. He's got a new mic. And I tested it Friday or Thursday or whatever day I tested it. Everything went very, very well. So I need to sit down with that. He's coming down here Saturday, I think, but I'm going to sit down with him. I'll try to start getting him in on these AMAs. I think it'd be great to have him here and have him jibber-jabbering. Matt Golden, if he could make it. Mac's usually on the road this time of day. Steve, I was watching Forged in Fire the other day. Can we get a 𝚃𝚘𝚕𝚔 added to the weapons? I don't know what that is, but if you remind me when I start jabbering about laying out the player's handbook, which should be later this week, I'll jam it in there. I'll jam it in there. Hey, don't forget my spell writing team, whom deserve great credit for the spell section too. Who is your spell writing team, Mac? I thought you did all the spells. I thought that was all you. That's Mac Muddles, for those of you who don't know. He co-created Castles and Crusades, the Sieges and all of that, with my brother David Chenault, and co-founded Trollhorn Games back in 2000. And he and I are still gaming together since, Mac, 1986 or some craziness? We've been gaming together for a long time. He's got a long drive home, so he gets to listen to the Twitch stream. I don't think he can say very much while he's driving. The design leads of Dungeons & Dragons are big fans of CNC. They'll tell you as much. Oh, that's cool. They decided to build an unofficial AD&D 3rd edition with the supposition that TSR had continued on and made another edition of D&D. In the codex, they say it's built using AD&D 2nd edition and Castles and Crusades. Oh, that's very cool. Where did they say that, King Cotho? That's a very nice tip of the hat. I did not know that was out there. That's very, very cool. Let's see. This is interesting. How can I find it? Blah, blah, blah. They don't have electricity in the Ozarks. Yeah, you know, sometimes. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. Chris Perkins, who put together AD&D 3, is not the same person as the Wizard of the Coast designer. Uh-oh, there you go. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever even met Chris. The Kingpin is like a 3-tined handle throwing weapon. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like half of a big Chinese star of a hand. I think I know what you're talking about. There might be something like that in the Arms and Armor. I know we don't call it that. I'd have to check. I just stopped to get gas and saw Davis's doppelganger. Long, hairy. Of course, Davis has cut his hair now. And he's got a goatee, so he's all cleaned up, Mac. I don't know. You haven't seen him since the COVID mess. So, how about your brother streaming an adventure? I would love to see his style compared to yours. Yeah, if we could get Davis to run a game, it would be absolutely fantastic. So he started DMing back in 74 or 75. Whenever the Brown books came out, and about 6 months, 8 months after the Brown books, little bitty ones, came out, Davis started gaming. I started about a year and a half after that, whenever that was. And he was running games, and he ran me in games after that. I didn't start DMing till 79 or 80, give or take. I really can't remember, somewhere around in there. But Davis's style and my style are summed up perfectly in our world creation. So, when I created the world of Air, it's based around the language of creation that the Allfather speaks, and when he speaks words, these words create things. When the gods and goddesses speak things, they use language. Wizardry is, words, the language of creation. Everything is consistent in the language of creation. Davis, on the other hand, in the world of Enzea, is built upon the language of destruction. Now, I'm going to stop right there and just say this, because this is crazy to me. This was done, I was creating the world of Air. Davis had been creating for a long time, just for himself. I created the world of Air for the big game, and then I created it. I made the world itself for Troller Games. We actually put it together. Mac and I put it together, and Davis drew the map, put it together for release as the world, the After Winter Dark fantasy campaign thing. Fast forward like 2 years or so, and Davis and we were going to the Origins convention, and Davis and I were in the truck. And we were discussing the world of Aird, and he started talking about Enzea. This is what Enzea is, blah, 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 blah. And we began, what we wanted to do was merge the two somehow. And so I started telling him about the language of creation. And he's like, wait, what? The language of creation? No, it's the language of destruction. And I'm like, no. The Allfather made the language of creation, and he's... And Davis goes, no, the dragon uses the language of destruction. So completely separate from one another's creative whatevers. I created the language of creation. Davis created the language of destruction as the centerpiece of the world. And that tells you right there our gaming styles. I'm a little bit more easygoing, a little bit more optimistic, DMing, and Davis is not. If you play in Davis's game, and Mac will be rolling on soon, but if you play in Davis's game, if you survive, that is a huge accomplishment. If you survive with a couple of silver pieces, retire, because you have made it. His games are grueling difficult. He doesn't pull any punches. He doesn't tip any die rolls. He doesn't do any of that. If you make the move, you die. It's on you. I mean, you might live. The dice help you. But so I absolutely love playing in Davis's games. There are a few DMs who I have enjoyed more than Davis when he's running one of his games, because they are crazy fun. That said, I love high-risk games. I love to be in high-risk games. I don't mind dying, or characters die all the time. I mean, it would be cool if we could get him, Gmark, if we could get him on Twitch to run, and we've got this new thing. We're gonna open it up very, very soon. I was hoping this week to Patreon backers, and probably to the Twitch stream here It's a bundle of software that's going to allow us to gather together. I don't know. You'll be seeing and hearing more about that very soon. And what I would like to do is get Davis in on that, where we all can kind of gather. It'll be very interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, it would be great. I would absolutely love to do it. One child read Burroughs, the other read... Yeah, that's exactly right. I read Burroughs, Davis read Howard, and you can see it. If you read what are comic books, interestingly, most of his comic books are worth a lot of money. Mine are not, except my Green Lanterns. So Green Lantern was my favorite. Optimistic Hal Jordan, fearless in the face of adversity and all of that stuff. Davis's favorite comic book is going to be Conan, probably. Savage Sword of Conan, the Micronauts. I don't remember him reading too much. He loved Cerebus. His stuff was a little bit darker. Interesting stuff. Yeah, Lord Dalis, it's fun. I mean, everyone. I've only met one player who didn't enjoy Davis's game, but he does have. It's kind of fun, and because he's an archaeologist by trade. He was an archaeologist for 20 odd years. He's got this, an in-depth knowledge of cultural constructs. So not so much, you've got your expert on river muck, you got your expert on Aztec mythology or Norse mythology or whatever. Davis's studies or experiences, I guess, is more cultural constructs, social constructs. So he brings that to the table in such a way that you really do feel like you're part of a society. You're part of not something that was put together, but something that grew kind of organically. It's something else. Question: thoughts on character gen tracker programs like Hero Lab, and are there any plans for an app like that for CNC? Grumpy, we've looked at that. We actually had a character app years ago. I don't even know where the thing is anymore. It was on iTunes, and that's definitely on the docket. It's right up there with my dice roller, which is done, and we just haven't released it. We've essentially those things, because there's a whole lot of small things that we're trying to push, areas that we're trying to push into. But right now, I'm just so hyper-focused on the Castle Keeper's Guide, the Player's Handbook, Warden, the MTA, and this other than NPC Almanac, that once those things are done, we can reopen, this chest of stuff that we need to be doing that we should have already done. I'm watching the market kind of literally evolve in front of us into something new and something very, very vibrant. And TLG needs to be a part of it. I want us to be a part of that. But for that to happen, we got to get our core books back out so that we can push them heavily and start releasing them. And that's just consumed all of our time. That said, once it's done, my mind is back on that dice roller apps and other computer stuff that we're looking at that we want to dive into. So soon, hopefully, AD&D 3rd Ed by Chris Perkins now added to my reading list. Made it. Lawn mowed, one garden bed weeded. What did I miss other than Steve dressed like a homeless person? The truck arrived today just before the stream. Well, not just a few hours before the stream. They sent the Monsters and Treasures of Air and the Starship Warden. So it was about 9,500 pounds of books we unloaded. It was an interesting afternoon. Green Lantern was my fave too. A ring that can transform its energy into anything. I can't tell you how many times I ran around the house zapping everything with a little 25-cent ring. Yeah, Green Lantern was it, and his whole fear. The fear you had to be fearless to be the Green Lantern. To me was, it mirrored Tarzan. If you read Tarzan, and that's how I play my characters. I don't fear death. I just go. But Tarzan's the same way. Tarzan doesn't ever think of death. If you read Burroughs now. If you have not read Burroughs and you go read Burroughs, it is dated. Its stuff was written at the turn of the century, so just be aware of that. But Tarzan as a character and Jane as a female lead, they're fearless people, right? They're not afraid. Even Jane, when she's taken by the ape, she's not terrified. But the Green Lantern is the same way, and I think that's what really appealed to me. That and just supercharging the ring, and it's just badass. I just loved it. Davis is probably very visual as well, leading to great descriptions about players. He is. Now, he does not like technology at all. When we were doing our vid meeting the other day, so we've upgraded his computers and all that crap, and he's got a tower, which he hates tower drives because it's crap on his desk, and he doesn't want anything on his desk. except his monitor and keyboard. But he was bitching about it, and he knocked his microphone over. And I said, look, dude, you can take that mic and hang it from the roof, and the wires won't be anywhere. It'll be like the old Bauhaus decorations. That's how they did it. You know, when wires were first coming into the homes in the 1920s, the Bauhaus movement had you make the wires part of your decoration. So you would have a wire hanging from the ceiling. That was part of the decor. I said, you can do that with your microphone and it won't be on your desk. And then he proceeded to juggle it, and it broke the stem off of it. And then he started cussing about it. And he said, if I could sell everything and just live with a spear, I'd be happy. So yes, his descriptions are great, but he hates technology. So there you go. My character in Davis's game retired at 4th level with 15 silver pieces, beat up short sword, and a patched leather armor. He became a goat herder, a dwarf. Yeah, I remember. I thought it was 2nd level. Was it 4th? I thought you only made it to 2nd level. That is Davis's game in a nutshell. I died 3 times in that game that Mac survived to retire with 15 silver pieces. Yeah, he is an archaeologist. He's got all that knowledge jammed into his noodle. Archaeologist background must really help be a creative. It really does. And if you haven't, check out his Ensaya material. It's the dragon set shit. What is it called? My brain is too addled. I can't remember any of it. I can't even remember what game we're running here. It's Ensaya. It's on the. Just go to Ensaya on the website. It's great stuff. The ship is at port, ready to disembark. Moncas. I don't even know what that means. Let's see. Not my ship, not my monkey. Yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm just gonna have to skip that. I don't know what you guys are on about. Turn of the century. Now we are old enough to have the clarity. Oh yeah. Turn of the previous century. Good point, Statler. Good point. I still love Burroughs. So, I mean, I absolutely love Tarzan. I reread the first Tarzan #1, which I consider one of the greatest stories ever told. But there's racial things you got to get over, and I think that's probably it. It's not too much misogyny or whatever you want to call it. But if none of that, I mean, it's dated. Whatever. I just weed through that. That stuff is everywhere. It's in history books that I read. Hey, Steve, if I need to talk to you about something, what is the best means of communication? Oh man, I would say Facebook, but I've about quit using Facebook. Try Discord. I'm trying to get better to checking my direct messages on Discord. I'm trying to go over there every day and post and respond. Ensaya. Tim, if you could put the link up for the Ensaya stuff. People have been subscribing. I surely do appreciate it. Thank you, Obsidian. I've missed every one of these because I've been jabbering like an idiot. Thank you, everybody, for the subscriptions. Very much appreciated. Let's see. Kel Brightwing, my books came in today. Codex Vert Player's Handbook, Expanding Classes. Very good. The mailroom has been extremely busy. It's lasted a very long time. Yes, thank you for the subs. Very, very much appreciated. And if you haven't, please give us a follow. I'm Trollord Steve. Man, I'm really tired. We unloaded a monster truck. I wish I had brought in samples like an idiot. I didn't. You know what? I'm going to give you some dead air for like a minute. I can go get him out of the truck. You're right outside. Alright. So, now's when we take over. Seize the reins! Do they have crickets in Arkansas? So this arrived, the Monsters and Treasures of Air for 5th edition. Super stoked about this guy here. She turned out absolutely beautiful. I can't see it from the glare. And this is so awesome. This will be officially the biggest book that Trollord Games has ever published. The Starship Warden. It is absolutely monstrous. Written by James Ward and Chris Clark. And it has finally arrived, weighing in at 600 pounds. No, not at all. 650 pages. Yes, it is enormous. It is absolutely gigantic. We will begin shipping the Image of A first, and then the Warden right after that. So the Warden is, obviously it's a starship that was created by James Ward, and it's for Metamorphosis Alpha. Now what we did is we kind of retooled it a little bit so that there's a rule set in here that you can play it with MA or you can play it with Star Siege, Castles and Crusades, either way. You'll probably have to do a little bit of fine-tuning, but we're not too worried about it. But yeah, it's, so you'll be able to get it, play it, and run. It's absolutely monstrous. And the cover's beautiful. Oh my God, did Jason Walton do such a fantastic job on that cover. It's amazing. Was that a phone book? It's just monstrous. So it's 𝚃𝚘𝚕𝚔. It is 656 pages, I believe, which is 200 pages beyond, 250 pages beyond anything I like to publish. But James wanted it all in one book. So this book is written and conceived by James Ward and Chris Clark, and they wanted it packaged a certain way so that it looked like stuff from the old world, from the 1970s and 1980s, when these games were so very, very exploding. And we certainly honored that. We put a bunch of new art in, but kept some of their a little bit more stylistic art that's in there. But it's it's something else. Yes, it could be under our limitation free. This is like 1/64th of the U.S. tax code. So there you go. Strap it to your chest and you have a bulletproof vest. Yeah, it was, probably not over, but it's the kind of the feel of it. It's not really how I would have laid the book out, but that's fine. That's cool. I'm a good friend of James Ward, and I certainly will bend over. Not bend over. That was coming out all kind of wrong. But I certainly would move heaven and earth to make him happy. So, for those of you who don't know, James Ward is one of the original creators of all of this content. He created the first science fiction role-playing game, Metamorphosis Alpha, back in the 70s, whatever. And it's a cool little game. It's just a cool, fun little game. Yeah, he really is. He is so super nice. Oh, crap. Oh, him money. So Jim just sent over, 2 weeks ago, I better make a note of this. Hey, Jim. Jim sent over a Pick a Path book. So we're working on that. We'll get that out. That was one of his specialties back in the day, so he wrote one for us. And I need to yank that out of the inbox and get that into production. Let's see what's going to strike that last comment. Yeah, let's strike that. Looking forward to you publishing the definitive monster-sized Gamma World. Man, I gotta tell you, in the olden times, back in my day, I loved AD&D. It's a huge AD&D hound, but Gamma World was my second runner-up. If you didn't play AD&D, I wanted to play Gamma World. I loved the map of the United States. Changed somewhat because of the environment or whatever the hell happened. I just loved it. I absolutely loved Gamma World. It played right into. I read a lot of Robert Adams back in those days. If you haven't read those are a series of novels. I think there's 15 of them, 14, I don't know, called the 𝚃𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚔 novels, and they're post-apocalyptic, 200 years later North America, medievalists, and there's these undying high lords or undying people who can't die. You can stab them and they come back. 𝚃𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚔, yes, 𝚃𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚔 knows. Really fun, graphically violent. There's a horrific amount of violence in them. I absolutely loved them. It plays right in with the violent TV that I like, which I can't find anything violent anymore. So if you haven't, check them out. Check out the 𝚃𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚔 stuff. But that's kind of what Gamma World kind of rolled right up with the whole 𝚃𝚘𝚘𝚕𝚔s for me. Absolutely loved it. I thank you for the subscription, Clever, and glad you could join us. I know it's tight for you sometimes. Very cool you were able to work with the guys that made the games you now build. I think we all wanted to do that as kids. Yeah, and never in my wildest dreams would I have thought. I still would marvel sitting at a table with Gary. I'd be sitting there going, how did this happen? What course of events led me here? The SCA would take over. There you go. I was a member of the SCA for about 2 years. I remember that. What the hell was my name? I can't remember my name. Bernard? No, it wasn't Bernard. I can't remember. I put a worm in Jim's ear for me and try to convince him to finish Sterling Lanier's Hero Trilogy. He's the only one who I think could do it. I'll talk to him. We have begun, very tentatively begun work, not me, Jim, and Jason Vey, begun work on the Storytellers, it's not dictionary, Storytellers, mythological thesaurus. I can't remember what it is, but very loosely. Steve, you must have missed work today. No, I did not. I was unloading a truck. Yeah, today was unload truck day, which, it's just, and it's funny too, because we got fiber optics coming in, and I gotta go, as soon as the stream's done here, I gotta go cut a trail to the post, so that they can actually get to the post to install the fiber optics, and we still got the truck to unload, so the day's not quite over yet. Someday it will be over. Yes, Tim, we can do that. That'd be fantastic. So yeah, lots of fun. We've got a few more minutes. Any questions, throw at me. Is that an actual thing that will happen? Steve is looking mighty relaxed. I wasn't an hour ago. I am eager to see Edward Greenwood play in a game. I thought he did once. That would be very cool. I don't know. At any rate, yeah, so very good day here in the Troll Dens. We're about done with the Castle Keeper's Guide. Should have it done by in the morning. I was going to have it done today, but that didn't happen for obvious reasons. Well, not obvious if you just joined us. And the Starship Warden has arrived. And for you 5th edition fans, the Monsters and Treasures Guide to 5th edition has arrived. These are both Kickstarters, and both of these will begin shipping. Well, Monsters and Treasures Varied will begin shipping tomorrow, and a Warden in a week or so. Once we and the Warden's going to kind of trickle on a little bit because we're still waiting for the boxes to come in. Steve, you need a break to out the pipe and smoke. To break out the pipe and smoking jacket. Yeah, not today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe this weekend. And when do you think Starship Warden will hit the storefront? It's going to be at least 2 months. We got to give them 60 days out. I'll probably solicit it. What is today? I'll solicit it Monday. Give them 60 days, and then it'll roll out to storefronts. But it's a big one. I mean, this sucker is not. It's not small. 656 pages. The Corinthian leather chair. Oh yes, the Corinthian leather. Receiving shipment of books in Midsummer, Arkansas. That's not fun. Yeah, it's going to. The real unfun ultra is going to be next month when the CKG and the Player's Handbook arrive, because it'll be good in June at that point. But there you go. What can you do? Hopefully it'll arrive in the morning. And hopefully we'll have more people. It was just me and Wilson today. I couldn't scrounge anybody together. Todd's out. Tim's out. Everybody's out. There's a box that... So, sort of, almost. So, when we did the Kickstarter, there's a box that comes with it so that you can put all your campaign notes in it, the extra stuff that comes with it, and blah, 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 blah. So I tried, when I manufactured the box, to make it so that it would hold the book. But we didn't promise that in the Kickstarter because the box is going to be too big. And I just measured it and it will not. So I mean, it might fit in there of itself, but no. There's a box that is a playset box, let's put it that way. And that's part of me. I'm just so enamored with those boxes that we've been making. I love those things. I think everything should have a box with it. Whether the book goes in it or not, I think there should just be a box jammed on it somehow. Why no a whale in Monsters and Treasures? It's referenced in numerous magic items after all. You know, the one thing that Monsters and Treasures really needs is a lot of aquatic monsters. There's just not that many aquatic monsters in MNT. A few fairies in there, fae and whatnot, but those are kind of hard to run. Let's see. You can call me to help unload. I'll send you my number. Don't blame me if this is less than one box short, though. Yeah, there you go. There was one. And let me tell you today, a couple of boxes could have wandered off and we'd have been all right. It was just me and Wilson, and after about an hour and a half, so the Warden is black and white. So its paperweight is pretty solid. It's not very heavy. But the M&T of Aird is color, so it's heavy. And we moved the M&T of Aird first because it's heavy. And by the time we were into the warden, we were pretty tired. Pretty backs were hurting. There was one mention of cloud whales. There you go. I'll help you unload, but maybe like 30 boxes disappear. Yeah, those TLG boxes now carry my books, notes, dice, pencils into my. Yeah, I love those things. They're sturdy as all hell. So I tried. I think it'll just barely fit, but you can't fit anything else in there. So it's really the game box. It's a stretch reward, I think, or I can't remember what it was, but it's part of the whole Kickstarter. It'll roll out now those we're only going to make for the Kickstarter. Those won't be a permanent part of the, whatever, the mailroom. Excited the warden is so close to being in my hands. Yes, very, very soon. Very, very soon. All right, we are about ready to wind down. I want to thank everybody for showing up. If you have not, please give us a follow. We surely do appreciate it. We appreciate all the subscriptions and the whatever follows, whatever. Buy me a beer, I'll move, whatever. It's a lot of them. But today we're going to do another raid. I think I'm going to learn this command soon. We're going to raid Mindari again. I believe that's it. We'll wait for Tim to... Oh, Tim's got it set. Okay, we're going to be raiding in just a few minutes. As soon as... Oh, it says raid now. Okay, so everybody, thank you for showing up. Surely do appreciate it. And we will see you on Thursday at whatever time, 4 o'clock. All right, take it easy, everybody. Follow the raid. Off we go. All right, I got to stub.